Welcome back to the Backroads Podcast, where we'll talk about the adventure within the adventure, about Pat and Ashley's trip across the valley and beyond. I'm Andrew, and they need no introduction. They're the dynamic duo, the celebrities of TVA, our peanut butter to our jelly, maybe? Pat and Ashley.
You know, what can we say? Happy to be here, folks.
Oh, yeah.
So, we're continuing on with our adventure here. We've been all over the place, but we are indeed back in the fine state of Kentucky. We had been on to Kentucky last season, and it was a blast.
Yeah.
So much fun, in fact, that we had to come back for season 2. And we are in Bowling Green, and Bowling Green is such a cool city that has so much to offer. And I think one of the highlights for the entire group was we got to tour the African American Museum there in Bowling Green. Pat, our historian, what did you think about it?
Oh, my gosh. I would have to say that was one of my favorite spots that we visited in Bowling Green. You know, the museum itself, they're working back from a fire. And so they they were showing us their plans and what they're doing, what they have there now, which was very nice. But one of my favorite things was that the docent there, Chastity, took us to the community called Shake Rag, which was an African-American community. They're located in Bowling Green near the Western Kentucky University. And she talked about the community. She talked about her grandmother had lived there. She actually showed us a picture of her grandmother, which was really neat. But that was one of my favorite parts, was just touring the streets. And, her tour that she takes you on is great because not only does she talk about the past and the present, but she also talks about how that community is coming back, about the future. And she actually pointed out things that were being built right now. And so, it's come full circle. And I was just so pleased to actually get to walk those streets and learn a little bit about that history, see the museum, see, the place that they're headed. And, as a public historian, that's certainly what she's doing and what's going on there. And it just thrilled me to really learn about that site, that part of Kentucky, that history, sharing that story with the community, and we can share it in a broader way. So, yeah, I enjoyed that immensely.
Yeah, it was an amazing tour, and especially, knowing little to nothing about the community and, the Shake Rag community, because even the name of it, it kind of sounds, and you're like, what does that come from? But understanding that it came from, the style of dance and, where that's how we kind of got ragtime music. And to know that like such a crucial piece of music history has its heart right in Kentucky, right in the valley and in the TV area is really cool. And yeah, it was a really neat spot. And also just getting to walk around with Chastity and like, she was... we talk about being celebrities at TVA, which we're not. But she was the real star. She knew everybody and everybody knew her. She could have told us everybody's family, their aunts, uncles, cousins, grandmas. And it was just really cool to get that kind of like that level of tour and just to really see the living history and how, she's working to preserve it in that community.
Right. And the passion that she felt for that, really translated over to how she shared that story.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time with her. We kind of didn't want to leave. We were like, we'll just kind of stay. Pat and I actually, after y'all left, we stopped inside of the first African-American church.
Oh, very cool.
In that community that we walked by. Yeah. But we actually got to go in and we talked to the pastor for a little bit. They were hosting a VBS. So, we didn't immediately get out of there. We were excited to stick around a little longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of that tour was, she was showing us around and then she pointed at a random picture they had up. It's like, oh, yeah, that's my grandmother in the high school marching band right there. It was awesome. And I know that you and Chastity had a special connection because you're historians, I could see the twinkle in your eye when you were talking to her.
Oh, at every little museum and historical spot we go to, Pat is always excited to talk with the folks that work there. And she's always helpful too. And she's, thinking about ways to, possibly get grant funding, just stuff like that. So she's also like trying to be helpful to it too, which is just classic Pat.
Yeah. And, after we got to tour the museum, we did get to speed on over to one of my favorite places we got to visit too.
It's a museum of a different flavor.
Oh, yeah.
Mine and Andrew's kind of museum.
Yeah, we sped on over to the Corvette Museum. And how cool was it to see the history of the Corvette, the cultural impact the Corvette has had on our lives? I mean, it's really cool to walk in and you hear little red Corvette playing in the background. You see the Barbie van in the back. It was awesome. And we had a really great tour guide there too.
Oh my gosh. He was amazing. I mean, the Corvette Museum was so cool. We had been there once before, but getting to go there back and getting this behind the scenes, I'm not the best museum goer. I kind of sped through the museum myself, but this time getting to go and hearing from, our tour guide and hearing what, we were all about, the history, and getting to see the actual vehicles and knowing they rotate them out, so you can go back and they'll be different sets of cars. And we got to see a little special exhibit. They had this cool thing. They had a sinkhole there 10 years ago, and it swallowed up a bunch of cars in this area, and they had restored a couple fully. And then they had some others that were on display that they weren't able to restore, but still wanted to preserve that part because it is a part of the museum's history. So that was really cool just to see. I mean, the pictures of the cars that they were able to put back together was amazing.
Right. It truly is. And the exhibit where you see the damage and, they had not replaced or restored those cars, you really get a sense of, what that sinkhole really did. I mean, they have a small exhibit that talks to that, but when you go and see this other part that actually shows you some of those cars, it really hits home.
Absolutely. The other part that was really neat that they do, that's a special thing, one day, Pat, maybe you and I can be Corvette owners, I'll start saving. I'm going to not stop eating my avocado toast.
There you
I'll
go.
get one soon enough. That's what they say. But anyways, that you can get this little special thing. So if you buy a Corvette and you can pay a little bit of extra money, which at that point, just do it.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you can get and go and pick up your car in person. They'll have it displayed in the museum.
Yeah.
And then you get to go look at it. So we got to see people who were getting this dream car.
Yeah, that was super fun.
I mean, I can't remember how many different customizations you can do, but it was hundreds, if not thousands.
I think it was,
Yeah.
So it was really cool just to see this amazing moment for all these folks, and they'll get clapped out of the building.
Yeah, I thought that was amazing. The other thing that struck me is that they have the original car, and it's white with red leather interior. And our guide told us that every anniversary they do a white with a red leather, and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, on the 10th anniversary or and I found that kind of really nice that they carry that over,
and it was a pretty car. Oh man.
Oh,
I feel like we should talk about, we kind of did put our driving skills to the test. Pat didn't. She was my passenger, and
as always, by the way,
I haven't had
as always. Yes.
No,
I drove some.
Sure.
She did. She
Okay.
really did.
Well,
She
good.
really did. She really did. In the name of safety, sometimes a driver gets sleepy and you need to swap drivers.
Yes.
And that's what we did.
We did.
No, but riding, so at the Corvette Museum, you can, get in a Corvette and they have a virtual, little demo test track experience. And so I had to do it. Had to race, had to get it out there. And I think we were racing each other, right?
We were,
Yeah. Definitely lost. But I had a very stressful passenger because Pat was next to me, and you would have thought that we were really that I was in the Daytona 500 and that we're like really racing.
Yeah.
She's like holding on.
I'm sorry. It was virtual reality. It was pretty real for me. And it makes the noise. Like you go off the track.
That was awful.
And you were off the track and it felt like it and it sounded like it. And, you know, yeah.
It was off the track.
That was probably my least favorite.
It was very funny. Even in the other car, I could hear Pat screaming in the simulator.
And like normally, like driving with Pat, like I'm very calm, cool, collected. I'm like, it's fine, you know, whatever. But I kept being like, it's not real, Pat. It's not real.
And I knew that, but still.
And I was just like, you're going to have to be quiet. Like it was making like, then I just started going really slow. It was giving me flashbacks to like learning to drive.
Yes.
And being in the car with my dad for the first time. And he's just like yelling at me and I'm crying. And we're just like, ah! It was a great time.
It was great. And honestly, it was just a really cool experience. And the cars were so fancy, I couldn't even figure out how to open the door. Like I had to get somebody on the outside to open the Corvette door.
They were so low to the ground.
They were very low.
Yeah.
They were
I was
very
like,
low.
I'm just going to roll out.
I mean, we had so much fun there. And I'd argue we probably all worked up an appetite after Pat almost losing her lunch in the simulator. But after that, we head to a really cool spot too, Cheney's Dairy Farm, which is like a Kentucky legend. And, you know, I have a special place in my heart for all things dairy, even though my body half the time disagrees with that choice.
You're allergic.
But it was amazing to be there. We had a fantastic lunch. I had chicken tenders with mac cheese and
I had a burger.
Yeah, with cheese.
I know, but I just have to note that I did have a burger at the dairy farm.
I think I had a salad.
Yeah.
Classic Pat.
Yeah.
But we did have some ice cream.
We did have ice cream.
Oh man.
How cool.
We almost missed out on the ice cream.
Oh my.
That's a whole story. But, you know, one of the things that I found fascinating, and I love this story, is that they have this super electric, one of the few even operating today, electric. It's more than an electric milker. It's a fancy robot milker, and it does things, all of the things that they have tied into that.
Sure.
Like if the cow feels that it's ready to give its milk, it goes, you know, nobody has to take it there.
Right.
The robot hooks it up. They have all these statistics about, you know, which cow gives the most milk, what's the most healthy, you know, all this stuff. It's truly the technology. And I go back and I think about when, you know, TVA was so involved in agriculture and farming, you know, in our early days, and the farmers get that first electricity and they're able to get those electric milking machines. And then you look where we are in the 21st century and you've got this robot, this, you know,
it was
insane.
Just
all the things that it did just, I'm sorry. I thought that was just fascinating.
No. Yeah. You think about the classic, like little pail with the tiny little stool. And I mean, I can't imagine being hunched over like that. Brutal work. So they had really cool technology. And I'm sorry, the robot was really cool. I would like to talk about all of the cute baby cows that we saw. Oh my goodness. They had tiny little calves and they were so sweet. And all of the cows were so sweet and friendly. And we just got to sit there and pet and love on them. And we did not go inside where they were, but one of our camera folks did. And ooh boy, did the cows love that camera. They were not camera shy. They were ready for their close up, and they just all were like swarmed them. It was great to watch.
It was hilarious. I mean,
but it was such a neat farm. And in addition to all of the animal stuff, I mean, it just looked like a fun place to go. They had this like trampoline
playground. They had
a big playground,
hay rides.
Hay rides, tours.
There were some people there that were a group that had
a school group
taken out on the hay wagon.
Yeah, and we got a special interview with the third and fourth generations of the Cheney farm family. And so getting to talk, and we got to talk with the granddaughter of the original person who started the farm, and her daughter sitting on her hip, and just seeing how they're carrying on this legacy and kind of keeping this dairy business alive in Western Kentucky, and using this new technology, and utilizing different tactics to bring people in and let them know what they're doing, and making a great product. I had some delicious strawberry ice cream.
I had that was fun to get to go back and have an ice cream cone, and
not a bad way to end the day.
No, not at all.
And they did such a cool job too. Like, even going through their store, they supported all the local farmers. Like, keep going there and buy local produce, buy the local meat. Right. It was really cool to see. And you talked about the generations of the farm there, and how cool is it that that's continuing on? And our little baby guest interviewer had her pink Carhartt overalls on, already ready for the next generation to take over.
We all just took turns holding her.
Yeah,
she was the chillest baby ever.
It was really cool, and great ice cream, great food, and great people. Again,
Oh, again, traveling around the valley, that is something that the folks, not only just the TVA employees, but just, the folks the places that we visit, it's been such an honor and a privilege to get to represent TVA this way and go out and meet people of the valley that we serve.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a cool job too. Whether they're working with animals or working at, in the ice cream, making the ice cream, serving the ice cream, working at the restaurant. It was just a really, really neat place, and just a cool part of the TVA area that I hadn't really had an opportunity to really go into and see.
Yeah. And, it's really cool. And, on this trip, we've already kind of done it all, right? We went from hot rods to cows, and then we finished up at Paradise Combined Cycle.
Oh my gosh.
Resting in paradise.
Oh yeah. They had that little water area there that they were talking about with the wildlife and that sort of thing. But the plant, again, taking a facility that we had and repurposing it, keeping jobs in the area, doing that sort of thing.
Yeah. One of my favorite factoids was everybody that worked at the coal plant came to work at the gas plant.
Yes.
And how awesome is that? Once again, it's TVA supporting TVA. Hey, we got y'all. Come work with us. Yeah. And as we continue to push for clean energy, that will continue to happen. And it was really cool. You talked about the water feature out front, and, a lot of gas plants kind of look similar. Right. And this one definitely stuck out from all the ones that we've been to.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We got to go up on the roof.
Oh my gosh, we got a lovely breeze on a hot.
It was hot.
Summer day. And listen, we always make the paradise joke here at TVA, but it really did that day look like paradise.
It did.
It was a lovely, lovely area. And again, we get amazing tours. We get some of the great behind the scenes stuff, and we are just the lucky folks who get to share it with all of you. And it was just awesome to get to see another way that we're, generating power in this part of the area. And again, just the history of transitioning that site and kind of making sure that we're still staying in these communities, but also keeping up with the times and how, we're kind of transitioning into just different energy sources.
Yeah. And I love how the folks who are there talk about that history, and they walk you around and show you what was there and what's here now. And again, just that pride in that plant, pride in what their work, what we're doing for the folks of the valley.
And those people that work there are always happy to see us.
Yeah.
They're happy to see Ashley, but they're always so happy to see you, Pat. Everybody
I'm just
so
the chauffeur. I'm the Ashley.
No.
This is Pat's Excellent Adventure. We're just kind of along for the ride.
I'm second for a reason, and I am happy doing so.
It is an excellent adventure, but no,
it's cool because they know you're a historian, and they're so proud of the history they have at each plant.
Yeah.
And they have somebody that is equally as proud.
Yeah.
So you guys get to talk about that. And that's been one of my favorite moments throughout our entire journey, is watching how they interact with you, Pat, too.
Oh,
They're so proud, and it's fun to be part of, and it's fun to watch, honestly.
Well, thank you. But
You're so welcome. And, we've done the whole Kentucky thing now, I think. For I'm sure we'll be back at some point, but Kentucky, we are heading on to Kentucky and leaving. We're going to a different gas-powered thing again. We're going to attack the tail of the dragon next week in Fontana, North Carolina.
Let me get my driving gloves.
As Pat begins to sink in her chair,
Yeah.
do you know how many turns are on the tail of the dragon?
I actually do know that.
And how many are they?
I
Pat?
believe there's 318 curves and 11 miles.
That is correct. So buckle on up, because we are heading to Fontana next week.
Oh, Lordy.
Well, it's gonna be great.
It's going to be great. Well, it's going to be something.
Fontana is the one. I was so bummed that we couldn't make it there last year.
Yeah.
Because it's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites. And so once I saw it was on the list for this year, I was so excited. It's such a beautiful area of North Carolina. We're up in the mountains. I mean, we don't even have cell phone service. So, I mean, it is a getaway, and it's quite a ride to get there.
Quite a ride.
We're going to have a great time.
On that note, that wraps up this episode of the Backroads Podcast. You can follow along on our journey on all of our social channels and listen to us on all major streaming platforms, and of course, watch us on YouTube. We'll see you next time.